Hey guys, Mouse here and welcome to another Power of Destruction video. And we got 1.65 billion yesterday on a light day, and here's the lineup we use. So I kind of just want to quickly discuss what I'm doing right now and what has changed when it comes to the lineup and the weapon choices that I have during the light day. So you guys know that in my previous videos I've been using Radiru family's longbow. You can also use West Wind here. In this particular run I used Moonshadow, and it is the weapon that worked best that day. Okay, so I already tested the Radiru family longbow as well as the West Wind, and I can't really get a score as high as this. The maximum I got was around 730m here, or probably around 750m even with shadow steps. So I just want to discuss that you guys can also have your choice. So one of the things that we should realize on Power of Destruction is how important it is to actually break the hands fast. And that's why during the early game, or during the time where my progression is still not that strong, because I had a huge power spike recently when I pulled for Mirei Amamiya as well as for Suyun, and we're getting a lot more artifacts on our hunters and they're becoming really strong. So here's what I realized, that during the early game, it's really important that Jinwoo, by breaking the hands with the help of the Radiru family's one hit damage on one hand, and Westwind can do that as well. But as soon as I got most of the hunters like at A5, and my character progression became really strong, especially when I added Mirei Amamiya on the team, and when Suyun got buffed recently, she's really strong now in POD, and also when I got the A3 as well as the A5 Moonshadow. So what happened was that the first condition, which is to break the hands, were pretty much the role was passed on to the hunters already most of the time, because before it was only Alicia or sometimes Chahe in that's doing that role. But now that we already got that role from our hunters, then we can now take advantage of the Moonshadow and really won't have to mess with breaking the hands, right? And also it kind of helps as well, because you're gonna get like an extended duration on this, like 6 seconds, if you are able to do the shadow step. So once you master the shadow step, like really be able to consistently do it most of the time, not perfectly, but the scaling of this weapon is actually very high, even though it's a dark weapon. But it's important to take note that Moonshadow, like in Plum Sword, these are not damage weapons. These are support weapons that you can use to amplify your damage or amplify the damage of your team through this increased damage taken debuff. And it also strengthens Jinwoo at A5, which is why this one right here, although it still deals a good amount of damage, my account progression has arrived at a point wherein I don't just need the single damage of Jinwoo, but I would need the damage of the entire Hunter's team lineup. So this is one of the examples wherein the meta changes as your character progression changes, and so you become stronger. The strategy, the meta, the tactics, the builds that you're gonna have to use are also gonna change. And here in this day, during the light day, I already changed my strategy, and I think for the most part I'm gonna be using Moonshadow now. And again, that's because once you master the shadow step to take advantage of the A3, and if your hunters are already really becoming strong with their artifacts on, with their advancements on, then you're pretty much gonna be able to take advantage of this weapon. Of course, whale levels, kraken levels are gonna have a different meta, so at least for me in this kind of character progression, you can compare your account to mine. I'm gonna show the artifacts as well in this video, as well as the replay. You guys can compare it. I always show them and try it out yourself, because in my case, really these single targets on a light day, guys, in particular, is not working out well anymore. And the skills I'm using are still the same, the cutting rush, annihilation. So at least most of the damage are gonna come from that, as well as from your hunter team's damage. So now for the team composition, this is what I use. I actually did a lot of testing and dry runs on this, and I think this is the best one for my own account. You might be able to use this as well, so let's discuss it a bit. Alicia and Maylin, of course, are always gonna be together, except for Fire Day. Sometimes I don't use them together now on Fire Day. And then we also have our Mirei here. So now the idea here with these two is that we now have two reliable units that can break the hands fast, and both of them will benefit as well from Melee features attack damage increase. So the only problem here is that Melee's weapon can only support one. So whoever is stronger, you're gonna have to build it in such a way that it's gonna be the one with the higher attack. So let me just show you it real quick. So this one, the one with the highest attack will get the damage increase. So it's up to you, whoever has a better gear on your lineup. And also another thing here is that Mirai Amamiya doesn't need any more crit rate percentage to help her out, because once you get her weapon to A5, then you're pretty much gonna get a lot of crit rates here on her major skills, which is pretty much the only thing you need. Well, not the only thing, but most of the damage are just gonna come from that. So you guys have to consider that as well. And since that is the case, we can comfortably use Tusk here, and we're not pretty much not gonna lose anything like a crit rate, things like those, because usually we want someone here that has a grid set, right? But even with like a units like Saw endgame build, I think Mirai Amamiya is still gonna be faster when it comes to breaking those hands. And the concept here now is you break hands fast enough so that right after the cooldown of your weapons or skills are done, then you're gonna be able to do another attempt of shadow step. So basically that's it pretty much. So this one's a really good combination, and you're gonna see it in the replay and how this lineup works. And for this one, we have here Suyun and Emma as well as Chahe. And I also tested Chahe in here in this place. But the reason why I changed it, because Chahe-in also has a utility skill that can debuff the enemies, right? The branded debuff that increases the crit rate and crit damage taken by the enemies. So that being said, she can support Suyun as well. And my Suyun's build has 2 toughness pieces, and my Emma has grid set, of course, and that will help a lot in terms of giving these 2 critical rates, which pretty much is not needed anymore by Alicia, because, well, Alicia needs it, but it's not that big of an impact because Alicia already has a passive on her A1, right? And Chae-in is also, of course, gonna benefit from the grid set. And if you put Mirai here instead, then Mirai is not gonna be able to use that crit rate, because Mirai is pretty much, if you have her weapon at max and you have good artifacts at 50% crit rate, then it's pretty much like a perma crit already for Mirai Amamiya. So that was the main concept here, and pretty much both teams are gonna be balanced when it comes to handbrakes, when it comes to damage, when it comes to the buffs they need, and the synergy as well. So yeah, I think that's gonna be it. If you want to watch the replay, here it is, and enjoy.